is up. I'm David Gura. Yujing Zhang, the Chinese woman arrested trying to enter Mar-a-Lago, has been charged with lying to a federal agent and entering restricted property without permission. She had 4 cell phones, a laptop, an external hard drive, and a thumb drive containing malware. She said her friend Charles sent her there to attend an event that was promoted by Cindy Yang. Yang, you may remember, used to own the Florida massage parlor targeted by law enforcement recently. So who is Charles Lee? Well, David Korn writes in Mother Jones, Lee seems to be an operator and a mixer who wants to hobnob with the rich and famous and who has long-standing ties to Chinese government and Communist Party organizations of concern to counterintelligence experts. Zhang heads back to court on Monday. David, you point out in your piece here a lot of questions remain, including what's going on here. It's hard to know. This is Prince Charles is his alias.
He calls himself Prince Charles. He uses lots of different names. He has lots of entities, businesses, and a lot of groups that have the name United Nations to it that have nothing to do with the United Nations. And the piece that we put out yesterday, and it gets kind of complicated, so I'll tweet out a link later.
Yeah, I did it. I just did it.
Oh, thank you. But the piece we did yesterday, we looked at some of the things that he had incorporated in Colorado, and it turns out that the registered addresses for these places are empty lots or businesses that have nothing to do with Charles Lee, and it turns out that there are dozens, if not scores, of companies that are doing the same thing. So the question is, what's going on? But why is Charles Lee, particular in this case, incorporating companies in Colorado to phony addresses? Who is he? And he has these ties to the Communist Party through his organizations and the Chinese government. She was discovered with all this spying equipment. The prosecutors have said so far this is not an espionage case, but if you talk to counterintelligence experts, they will tell you that Mar-a-Lago is like a great opportunity for spying. You can get in, you can bring in your malware, you can buy a ticket to a benefit, and you can use people like Charles Lee, and Cindy Yang did this too, to get access to the President of the United States. And if you want to plant an idea in his ear about, or try to get a picture with him that you can use back home to get contracts in China, that's easy to do. And if you want to do something worse, if you know, in terms of spying, there's an opportunity for that. So it's a really big, complicated scandal, and but of course Republicans aren't talking about it, but it is something that Democrats have asked to investigate on the Hill.
It's a credible piece, and Ellie, I just want to ask you about the point that David made there. This woman not charged yet with espionage, being treated like a national security matter. Where do you see it going from here as that triangle comes into focus that David describes in that piece?
It's such a perfect Trump scandal because it's all these grifters and madams and fake billionaires, and they're all so petty, right? And so I think that what's happening right now is that the law enforcement is doing the right thing. They're moving slowly, right? So they started charging her with the things they know they can get her on. Now we'll see if she wants to talk more and kind of explain more what her connections are. It does not look like she's the top of this pyramid, right? It looks like she's a low-level cog in this organization. So maybe they are going to go after somebody like.
She did pay $20,000 to a company associated with Charles Lee to get a package that included a trip to Mar-a-Lago for an event that was being promoted by Cindy Yang. I mean, they have all these connections, and there's real money going around, and the operation itself may not be an espionage thing per se, but anytime you have something like this, believe me, the Chinese, or if it was a Russian thing or an English thing or an Israeli thing, they know, because they're looking for opportunities, and they can piggyback their way in.
The other legal thing happening, and I just want, because this is, I particularly like this case. Yes. This is why the emoluments lawsuit matters so much. People don't understand, like, you're not supposed to be able to take foreign money, and this is exactly why, because it's a way for Trump as the president and Trump as the organization to sell interest, to sell access to Trump the president, and that's why this emoluments lawsuit is so important and needs to go forward and needs more attention, because it's the only way you kind of have a chance to really stop this stuff.
Fertile ground of Trump tourism, I think it's being called here at Mar-a-Lago, which is being floated as the place that the president would meet with President Xi Jinping should a trade deal be hashed out.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.